Apologies on that. Fortunately, I've just been yapping about the agenda that folks can see in front of them now. I've basically been reading out loud. So you haven't really missed anything so far except me reading out loud, which I'm sure is thrilling for all parties involved. So, like I said, we'll open things up for discussion of nominees. Once everyone has spoken about the nominees that they are supporting, we will close the discussion. And at that point, ballots will be sent out to all eligible voters to the email address that we have on file. Now, as we deal with each time, there will be a number of reasons why a number of people didn't receive their ballots. We could have the wrong email address on file. It could go to your spam folder. We have our records incorrect as far as your eligibility. If for whatever reason you don't receive your your ballot from the site that we use called OPAVote, in that case, we ask that we'll move you, raise your hand, mention it. We'll move you into our breakout room with our fabulous volunteers, and they'll work to help you resolve whatever issue we have on our records and get you the ballot as soon as we can. While that's happening, there'll be a few minutes in which we're resolving all the issues. We'll open conversation to some of our members to discuss some issues that they have to discuss with the club. Once all ballots are finalized and we've received all submitted ballots, we'll call last call, close the ballots, and then our political director, Kevin Collins, will certify the results through OPAVote and announce which candidate has received our endorsement in each race. We'll then finish up any other club business that we did not previously address. The only other item, and I will address this again once we get to the voting, but I want to address it up top. As a reminder, we do utilize ranked choice voting for our club elections. That means you are not just voting for a single candidate out of a group of candidates. You are ranking from 1 to however many you'd like, the order of the candidates that you support. You can rank as many or as few candidates for that office as you'd like, and the order does matter. So if we have 8 candidates for mayor and only 3 of them do you support, you should only rank those 3 candidates that you support, and then you should order those 3 candidates in the order in which you support them, with 1 being first, second, and third in that order. An important clarification is that for each race, there is an option to not endorse. Now, that does not mean that we are opposed to all of the candidates. You don't have to dislike all of the candidates in a race to choose not to endorse. That just means that you feel, for whatever reason, maybe it's too large of a pool, it's too early, for whatever reason, you don't feel confident that we as a club should formally endorse a candidate in that race. In that case, you can rank no endorsement as an option. You can rank 2 candidates, you can rank no endorsement, and then another candidate. You can do there are a lot of different iterations that you can do. And as we get to that point in the voting, we encourage you to ask questions if there are any issues that you have. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can all see each other's beautiful faces here in the Zoom. And we're going to move to the first part of the agenda, in which we are nominating candidates for endorsement. So as I said, I will go first, office by office, and nominate the candidates who, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I would like to make a motion before we begin the nominations on judicial delegates.
Thank you, Paul. That's a good reminder. I should have included that in the agenda, and I appreciate it.
I can just make the motion if you want.
Yeah, so we'll make the motion. So for folks who are aware, and I'll add a little bit of context because I know we have some new members and we want to be as accessible as possible to folks who may not be as deeply steeped in the local political process as we are. And Katie, we'll move to you after this. Judicial delegates, how the system works in New York is that within geographic areas, judicial delegates for the Democratic Party are elected, and they go to what's called the judicial convention, at which judicial candidates who are running to be a judge in New York State, are up for election. and the judicial delegates participate in that convention and participate in selecting those judges. So how those candidates are selected is, as I said, it's by geographic area. And so we and our sibling club, the Chelsea Reform Democratic Club, we represent the same area. Our areas are combined, so we work with them in order to create a slate of judicial delegates that represent both the Hell's Kitchen Democrats and the Chelsea Reform Democratic Club. And then there is also an issue-based club, the Jim Owls Liberal Democratic Club, that is not a geographic-based club that we also coordinate with to add some of their delegates to the slate as well, so that the slate that is on the petitions that we take out to get signatures will have representatives from the Hell's Kitchen Democrats, from the Chelsea Reform Democratic Club, and the Jim Owls Liberal Democratic Club. So for all of you who haven't recently read the Constitution of the Hell's Kitchen Democrats, which lucky you, there is an article that is included in there that allows for the membership of the club, which is you all, to authorize the executive committee to endorse the slate of judicial delegates. Why that was written into the Constitution and why that's been what we've done for the past 8 years as a club is because the negotiations that happen with the Chelsea Reform Democratic Club and the Jim Owls Liberal Democratic Club have a lot of moving pieces that often require some last-minute changes to the slate of nominees. So rather than coming back to you all and saying, hey, we had to change one name, we have to have a full general membership meeting in order to vote on this new slate of nominees that's one name different than the previous slate, we included in the Constitution and have historically had the membership authorize the executive committee to endorse the slate of judicial delegates that we include in our petitioning. Before I turn it over to Katie for her question, Paul, is there anything about that that I misstated or missed? All right, thank goodness, because
It's technically the Constitution allows us to do any Democratic Party seats through the executive committee, and this is really the only one we've ever done.
Yeah. Katie?
I was actually saying you need to put me in a breakout room for the mayoral because I work for one of the candidates.
Oh, great. Thank you for letting us know, Katie.
Yeah, and I just want to say the sister club that we work with for the judicial delegates actually share the information about the judicial delegates openings with their members and allow their members to engage in the process. So it is possible.
Oh, great. Thanks, Katie. We'll take a look at what they do and we'll see if we can incorporate it into ours. So I appreciate that. I don't know why I just raised my own hand. So what we'll do, Katie, if that's all right for you, we want to make sure that members are included in the discussion of candidates. So we'll let you go first for the discussion of candidates, and then we'll so that you get an opportunity. Hold on. We'll do the judicial delegate thing first. I know, Katie, you mentioned that. So I know we're a bit out of order, so I'm kind of reverse chronologically our way. We as an executive committee decided, Katie, that we wanted club members to have a chance, even if they were involved, to express their opinions. So if it makes sense to you, we'll have you go first in speaking about the candidates for the races, and then we'll move you to the breakout room so that you've had a chance to speak.
So it's all of them now, or it's just the mayoral now?
Once we get there, we'll do all the races. So we'll
And
have
then
you
I'll
go
just vote
first
from
and
the
we'll
room?
move you over. Absolutely.
Okay.
We appreciate you being transparent about that. Oh, we'll get to you, not right now, but once we get to the discussion of the candidates, I'll go to you first.
Okay.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So the motion on the floor is for the membership to authorize the executive committee to make endorsements for judicial delegates and judicial alternates. That motion was by Paul Devlin. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, we have a second from Christine Gorman. Thank you so much. Is there any discussion on that motion? If folks have questions or concerns, this would be the time to raise your hand and ask them.
I will offer that if anybody does want to get into conversations about this, feel free to reach out to me.
Absolutely. Paul Devlin is eminently available. He's a broker, so he's got to be. He's always answering his phone, and we're always happy to answer questions. So seeing no further discussion, we'll go ahead and call this to a vote. I think we can do this as a vote by affirmation. So all those in favor, please either virtually or physically raise your hand, or feel free to unmute and say aye. Fantastic. Love this. You all are wonderful. All right. You can lower your hands. Thank you so much, either physically or virtually. Thank you. You guys are so good. You do that so fast. All right.
Sean,
This
this
is
is
Catherine
Catherine
Lafferty.
Lafferty.
I'm with Laura and Debo, and
Richard and Karen.
Uh-huh.
all vote aye.
We all voted
We
aye.
all vote aye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Are there any opposed? Any opposed? Katie, thank you. All right. Any abstaining? All right. Thank you so much. The ayes have it. That motion passes. We appreciate it. And thank you, Paul, for reminding me for that bit of business. So we will now move to the nominations of candidates for the offices. As a reminder, starting with the mayor, that's right. That's how a human being says that, mayor. I will nominate from the floor all of the candidates who participated in our forum. I will then open up the floor for any members who wish to nominate any other candidate for that office. So, beginning with the office of mayor, I will nominate Eric Adams, Michael Blake, Brad Lander, Zoran Mamdani, Zelnor Myrie, Jessica Ramos, Scott Stringer, and Whitney Tilson. Now for the office of mayor, please raise your hand if anyone has any additional candidates that they would like to nominate for endorsement consideration for the office of mayor. I'm not seeing anyone. If I'm missing you, please unmute and let me know.
Sean,
Yes.
it's Catherine Lafferty again.
Mhm.
I would like to endorse Brad Lander.
Sorry, we're
For
not
mayor.
to that. Thank you. We are
okay, sorry.
at this point just nominating candidates. So Brad Lander
So-
was among the candidates that I just
Oh.
nominated. So if you hear me say the name of a candidate, that candidate is now nominated and included in the ballot. If there's anyone that you do not hear me say, and I'll repeat the list because this is the longest list, so it does get a little
Okay.
confusing.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were
That's okay.
already
No worries at all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, I'll just say the list one more time so that everyone knows these are the candidates that we are nominating who participated in the forum. Eric Adams, Michael Blake, Brad Lander, Zoran Mamdani, Zelnor Myrie, Jessica Ramos, Scott Stringer, and Whitney Tilson. So, if there are no other nominees to be added to that list, I will close nominations for the office of mayor, and we will move to the office of the public advocate. 3 candidates participated in our forum, and I will now nominate those 3 candidates for consideration. Those candidates are Martin Dolan, Jennifer Rajkumar, and Jumani Williams. Again, those 3 candidates that we are nominating are Martin Dolan, Jennifer Rajkumar, and Jumani Williams. Are there any candidates for the office of public advocate that anyone else would like to nominate for consideration? Seeing none, I'm going to close nominations for public advocate. We'll now move to the office of Comptroller. The 3 candidates who participated in our forum for the office of Comptroller are Justin Brannon, Mark Levine, and Ismail Malave. Again, the 3 candidates currently nominated for the office of Comptroller are Justin Brannon, Mark Levine, and Ismail Malave. Are there any other candidates that anyone would like to nominate for the office of Comptroller? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will close nominations for the office of Comptroller. Only a few more, thanks for sticking with us, and the rest of the lists are a bit shorter. For the office of Manhattan District Attorney, the candidate who participated in our forum who is nominated is Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg. Are there any other candidates that anyone would like to nominate for consideration for Manhattan District Attorney? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the floor for nominations of Manhattan District Attorney. For Manhattan Borough President, there are two candidates up for nomination: Brad Hoylman Siegel and Keith Powers. Again, the two candidates nominated for the office of Manhattan Borough President are Brad Hoylman Siegel and Keith Powers. Are there any other candidates that anyone would like to nominate for the office of Manhattan Borough President? Thank you. Seeing and hearing none, we'll close the nominations for Manhattan Borough President. For City Council District 3, the candidate who participated in our forum is Eric Botcher. Again, there is one candidate nominated for this office, Eric Botcher. I would like to open the floor if there are any other candidates that anyone would like to nominate for consideration for Council District 3. All right, seeing and hearing none, we will close the nominations for consideration for Council District 3. Now moving uptown to Council District 6, the only candidate we have for nomination for the office of City Council, Council District 6 is Gail Brewer. Gail Brewer is the candidate who is nominated for Council District 6. Are there any other names of candidates that anyone would like to nominate for consideration for Council District 6? Seeing and hearing none, we will close nominations for Council District 6. We are almost there, folks. We have District Leader, male, Assembly District 75. The candidate for consideration is Paul Devlin. Are there any other names that we would like to nominate for consideration for male District Leader, Assembly District 75? I don't blame you. Seeing and hearing none, we will close nominations for male District Leader, Assembly District 75. For female District Leader, Assembly District 75, we have Adrian Ford. Adrian Ford is the nominee for female District Leader, Assembly District 75. Are there any other nominations that anyone would like to submit for consideration? Darn tootin', seeing and hearing none, we will close nominations for female District Leader, Assembly District 75. Finally, for the role of State Committee Member, Assembly District 75, nominee for the position is Marty Gold Cummings. State Committee Member, Assembly District 75, the nominee is Marty Gold Cummings. Are there any other names that anyone would like to nominate for consideration for the office of State Committee Member, Assembly District 75? Seeing and hearing none, I will close nominations.
Can I,
Paul, of course.
sorry, did I fall asleep? Did I miss Municipal Court District 9?
You did not. I'm sorry. I did not have that on my list. If you would be so kind,
So I would like
Paul,
to, I would like to place in the consideration the nomination to endorse Terrence McCormick for Municipal Court District 9.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Any other names that anyone would like to submit for consideration for Municipal Court District 9? Seeing and hearing none, I will close nominations for Municipal Court District 9. So those are the nominees for offices for consideration this evening. That will be the ballot that you all will receive once we have finished discussion of the nominees. So we will now shift from nominations to discussion on the nominees. As a reminder, we're giving folks 90 seconds to speak. We're not going to cut you off after 90 seconds, but we will ask you, for the sake of getting everybody to bed at a reasonable hour, that you finish up after your 90 seconds is called. Our wonderful Vice President, Liz Keefe, will serve as the timekeeper, and I'll certainly give her an opportunity to speak to you all so that you know her face and voice if you don't already. Moving in to the speaking part, and because I know she's likely to remind me of something that I forgot, I'm going to call on Stephanie Jones first. Stephanie?
before we begin the discussion. If there are any candidates, we need to move them and then we need to stop the recording.
That is an excellent reminder. Thank you so much. All right, I don't believe we have any candidates themselves or representatives of their campaigns. If anyone wants to raise their hand and say, actually, Sean, I am a secret person in disguise, I would appreciate that. If not, I will go ahead and stop the recording now. And then we will have Liz speak, and then we will get started with the discussion of nominees. Oh, give me 1 second, Paul. I will go to you, and then Liz.
Katie Hamill.
Yep. Wait. Nope. That's that. Yeah. You got ahead of me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the recording. We will have Liz speak. We will start with Katie Hamill first, who will give their discussion of the nominees. We'll then move Katie over to the breakout room. Then we'll go to Ruby Rims, and then we'll go down the list of people who raise their hands and wish to discuss the nominees. Liz?
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, this is what I sound like. So I'm going to give you a 10. When you have 10 seconds left, I'm just going to say 10, and I promise you I'll be gentle. Try to be succinct, but I'm not going to be a mean lady over here. So, but I am going to give you 10 so that you know that you're towards the end of wrapping it up. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
And since we are moving Katie into the breakout room, so she may not have the chance to do another round of discussions if we wrap up early, Katie, if it's all right with you, we might give you an extra 30 seconds or so in order to speak on the nominees, since you were kind enough to share with us your role with the mayoral campaign. So we'll kick things off with Katie, and then we'll move to Ruby Rims. And then if anyone else would like to discuss their nominees, please raise your hand in Zoom, and I will add you to the list. Katie?
Sean, can I ask you a technical question first? Am I just sitting over there until Open Vote opens, or will I get an email to me?
Yep,
What's
you will
the-
be emailed the ballot. And once the discussion of nominees has ended, we'll move you back into the main room.
Okay. But by that point, the meeting's over. I could just leave. So I should probably just wait for my ballot to be emailed to me after this, right? Because I won't be coming back in.
No, we have a number of agenda items after,
Oh, okay. But
after
you
the
can bring me back
discussion
in
of
for
nominees.
anything under the mayor, or the lower ticket.
Yeah, well, just
right, I can
because
just-
everyone is speaking about all
I
the
get it.
offices during
That's
the
fine.
same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
we appreciate your clarifying questions. Thank you, Katie.
Okay, I want to say that I actually came, for the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've been working with a number of people from a couple different clubs across the city to put together a fact-finding initiative on what was said in the forums and share information on legislative history, public statements, and compare it to what they say in person, just in response to what we are dealing with now with Eric Adams kind of being more proactive in that we have to be more responsible citizens and actually hold people to the fire and make sure we don't elect someone like this again. And I was quite excited to share it with everyone because we discovered some really interesting, sad, funny, things. And then I got the email saying we're only going to have 90 seconds. And I just think we need to examine ourselves because this is not a democracy, the way we're handling it in here. Every other club has a real thorough dialogue, a discussion.
Thank you, Sean. I'm sorry I hadn't thought of this earlier, but because we're doing ranked choice voting, will we endorse like a first, second, third? Or will it be just whoever wins
It's a fantastic question, Christine. So the primary purpose of us as a Democratic club endorsing candidates is to volunteer on their petitioning efforts. And again, I mentioned this before, but we want to be as accessible as we can to the folks who may be joining us newly. We thank you so much. We're so happy to have you here in New York State. In order to qualify to be on the ballot in June for the primary, candidates for office have to demonstrate support within the district that they seek to represent. The way that they do that is by getting signatures from residents of the area that they seek to represent onto a petition, and they submit those petitions to the Board of Elections, who count those petitions and determine whether or not the candidates have the level of support that is required to reach the ballot. Now, if you're running for mayor, that's a citywide office. You can collect signatures from all across the city. If you're running for city council in District 3, that's just the neighborhoods of Hell's Kitchen, Chelsea, and the West Village. You can only get signatures from those areas. We, as a club, all of the candidates that we choose to endorse this evening are first place candidates. Our first place candidates, the candidates who receive the most votes, will be included on the petitions that we take out with our volunteers and try to get our neighbors to sign to show support. Now, does that mean that later down the line, we won't, especially because New York City elections are also ranked choice voting, we will communicate the ranked choice voting results of this election. Everyone who votes will receive a follow-up email that will detail each race, how everyone's first place rankings went, right? Because that's the first thing that ranked choice voting looks at is which candidate did you rank first? And it counts all of those first place rankings. And if one candidate has received more than 50% of the vote of first place votes, that's it. It's over. That candidate wins. That candidate is the endorsed candidate, and that is the candidate who will appear on our petitions. If after all of the first place votes are ranked, nobody has more than 50%, then whichever candidate received the least number of votes, their votes go away, and everyone who voted for that candidate in first place, we now look at who your second place vote was. And the candidate you voted in second place now gets credit for your votes. Then we look again and say, well, now does any single candidate have more than 50%? If not, we continue that process. And I say we as though it's not a computer doing this. It is not we, it is a computer who does this work for us. And it will go round by round. And until a candidate has received more than 50% of the vote, a true majority of the vote, then the last place candidate will be dropped out. And everyone who voted for that candidate, we will look to see who your next place candidate was, and that candidate will get credit for your vote. That counts no endorsement. If at any point no endorsement receives more than 50% of the vote, then we will not be making a formal endorsement in that race, and we will not be including that office on our petitions. So it's a very long-winded answer to your question, Christine, but for the sake of our petitioning, the volunteer effort that we will be doing in the coming weeks and months that Kevin and Paul and Adrian will do an admirable job leading and will talk to us about later. Whoever is our first place candidate, that is who will go on our petition. But since New York City elections are also ranked choice voting, I do think once it comes closer to the primary, it will make sense for us to share the rankings of our candidates so that in case our members or those who trust the opinion of this club would like to get more guidance on how they rank multiple candidates, we'll be able to look at the results of tonight and see who our second place candidate was and who our third place candidate was. All right, so I just want to confirm with Kevin and Stephanie and folks that the ballots have been sent out. Is that correct? No? Okay, what do we need? More time? No worries whatsoever. We are prepared to fill. So for folks, no, it does take a little bit of work for our volunteers to do this effort. Our volunteers have a spreadsheet of all the members of the Hell's Kitchen Democrats and whether they've paid their dues, whether they've attended an event, when they first joined. And as everyone joined this evening, they tried to go through that spreadsheet and identify who was attending this evening and who to send a ballot to. So that part is very done by volunteer efforts, and that does take a little bit of time. So as these ballots go out, folks might be seeing them. You are free to vote on your ballot if you receive it. If you have questions about your ballot, feel free to ask them. And if in 5 to 10 minutes you haven't received your ballot, let us know. We'll move you to the breakout room, and our fabulous volunteers will let you know whether it got sent to a different email address, if we don't have a record of you having paid your dues, if we don't have a record of you paying or attending an event, and we'll go ahead and resolve any outstanding issues that may exist. Kevin, I'm going to see, are you able to move to the breakout room?
Could you move me, Sean? Could you move me there, Sean?
I will try. I'm not sure if I can.
And I also want to let folks know that the first round of OPA votes have went out. If you please check the email that you have on file with HK Dems, but please check your email. The first votes emails went out.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. Rich, to your question in the chat, that is correct. If you voted in another Democratic club that is based in a neighborhood or an area of the city, you are not eligible to vote in the HK Dems election. Kevin, I don't think I can send you. I think you might have to click join.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. A reminder, if you can't tell, this is an all volunteer effort and we're all doing our best. Even though we are 5 years into the pandemic, Zoom is still a bit of a difficulty to navigate. So we're all doing our best. Yeah, Kevin, if you click on the breakout room button at the bottom, it should give you an opportunity to click join on the breakout room. All right, so while we wait for our volunteers to do their work, I want to give an opportunity. I know Alita Lafarge, who is our Director of Membership and Outreach, had some information that she would like to share with you all. And I believe that our Executive Committee member at large, Heather Laval, also has some information to share. So I'll turn things over to Alita first.
Hi, guys. First, I just got this text. I don't know if it's real because, we don't know what's real anymore, but whatever, I'll share it. I got a link saying that allegedly Trump was shutting down the federal website for ordering free COVID tests. And there's a link where you can actually order some. So this may be fake news, but when you go to the link, you can in fact order COVID tests. So if anybody is interested in ordering COVID tests, I can provide that link somehow.
That did happen. He had to walk it back.
So he's not going to do it. But anyway, order some tests. Why not?
Exactly.
Doesn't hurt, right? We have been talking with I'm sorry now. Do you remember what the name of this organization is, Sean? Because it was like a whole bunch of long words. Do you remember when
Oh, Dickens.
No,
I
Dickens.
don't.
Okay. All right. Let me try and find it. So the Office of Hate Crime Prevention through the NYPD, that's not the official title, but you get the point, would be amenable to coming and speaking with us and possibly holding some sort of forum where we could discuss like what is going on in terms of dealing with hate crimes now that we have the #1 hate crime perpetrator in office, and how that might potentially affect us here in the city in the way that we deal with hate crime. And so if that's something that folks are interested in attending, we'll organize that, and you can just let us know if that's something you would come to and be interested in finding out more about.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alita. And we'll have more information about all those things in upcoming newsletters. So make sure you check those out. I will say, speaking personally from experience, I received my email from OPA to my email that's on file, and I was able to vote. I would ask you all to double check your email to see if you've received your ballot. If you have, and you have any questions about the ballot, please let us know. If at this point you have not received your ballot, please let us know, and we'll move you into the breakout room, and our wonderful team will help facilitate any issues. Alita, have you not received your ballot?
I did receive it, but I just wanted to follow
Oh,
up.
you remember
Yep. Yes, it's the Police Commissioners LGBTQIA Plus Advisory Committee and the NYPD's Hate Task Force.
Great. Thank you so much, Alita. All right, Jenna, I see your message, so I'll give you an opportunity to move over to the breakout room. If you can click on the breakout room button at the bottom and click join, you should be able to speak to our group of volunteers who are there to facilitate any issues. I also see Diego. We'll move you to the breakout room. If you can click join, they should be able to help. Anyone else not received their ballot, or anyone else have questions about the ballot that they did receive? All right. You all are you are becoming pros at this point. We appreciate that. I don't know, Heather, I don't know if you're still with us. I know you're joining us
Yes.
from out of the country. Fabulous.
Yes.
You want to
Yes,
share some
yes,
of the
yes.
information about the volunteer effort that you are doing here in the neighborhood?
If I could,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I was trying to figure out a way of doing something local that was in its own way a protest, and it would involve something that's very important to me, which is the empowerment of girls and women and leadership and education, blah, blah, blah. And I co-founded the first HK Girl Scout troop for 6th and 7th graders. I want to say right up front that the school where we're having our meetings, that we've only had one, is helping us hugely. I'm speaking tonight because we only have about 8 girls from our NYCHA housing as well as our migrant hotels. So we have diversity in our troop, but we would love to have more. And these are girls who have not been overnight camping. They don't know s'mores. They don't know that the Girl Scouts are in 46 countries or have scholarships, or, they haven't had these opportunities, which is a thing that is really driving me in terms of this 3-year project. It's a minimum 3-year project with the school, as I mentioned. So I am lucky enough that my co-leader, who is 40 years younger than me, so I'm learning a lot, is a little bit nuts around cookies. And as you might or might not know, it's cookie season. So I put my personal email in the chat. We would love your support. If it's not for cookies or donations, maybe you have theater tickets, or maybe you want to teach the girls dancing or singing. They've already told us that they would love to learn new dancing or something from, the theater. So
Heather,
I'm sorry. So,
I
so
got you,
hopefully,
Kevin.
okay. Heather, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
so
Heather. Nope, we got you,
yeah.
Kevin. It's all
So
good. I hear
anyway,
you.
the
We'll go to you in a
information
second.
is in the chat, and I look forward to you reaching out. Any questions or concerns, let me know. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much, Heather. I put the information in the chat. Hopefully everyone can see that. I think this is a great local opportunity to be involved in a very big issue that is affecting our city and our country. So thank you for sharing that. Kevin?
Yeah, my apologies. And thanks, Heather. Has anybody who's on here now not returned your ballot yet?
Is there anyone who's still waiting to vote? Anyone who's still making up their minds? Anyone who plans on submitting a ballot that they have not yet?
Yes, a couple more people.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. No rush. We just want to make sure we get everybody who needs time, more time. So we got Paul and Jackie
Yes,
Davis.
there are people still voting, just FYI.
Okay,
Thank
let
you so
me
much,
ask this
Kat.
question. Has anybody not received their ballot?
Okay, I'm still voting. I just got my email because it went to a different address.
No worries.
Has
Thank you so much.
anybody not received their ballot? No? Okay, I'll let folks know. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. And again, I'll keep checking in as well. We appreciate that. If there's anyone who thinks that they should have received a ballot that they have not, please let us know. Seems like our team is doing a great job of resolving issues as they come up. I know I see a few people who have returned back to the main room after getting support in the breakout room, so we appreciate that. Just a reminder, our next general membership meeting is kind of right around the corner, since we wanted to give folks more time after the forums for consideration of endorsements. We rescheduled February's meeting from the first Thursday to today, but we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming on Thursday, March 6th, and we will be inviting all of the candidates who we endorse to be joining us and speaking to us about their candidacy and to thank you all for your support. Sandy?
Sean, I didn't want to challenge you when you first introduced all the mayor candidates. And you said something about they all had attended a forum. And I sure missed Eric Adams attending a forum.
It's
If
a
you
great
did.
point. I believe the eligibility might have been extended to candidates who were invited to attend the co-hosted forum. So I do believe that is a technicality that you appropriately identified. That I think it was based on the eligibility of campaign finance threshold limits. So it is a good point, Sandy, that I was imprecise in my speaking, that it was candidates who were invited and qualified to
And he's
attend
not
the
on
forum.
not on our ballot, is he? Did I miss it?
I believe he is, yes.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I missed it then.
Yeah. Whether or not people choose to take into account that he did not participate in the forum and all of the other things that are going on, that is certainly possible. I will give you that. So again, keep your eye out later this evening that the email will go out while we will announce the single endorsed candidate for all of these offices. Everyone who received a ballot will also receive an email from OpaVote breaking down the results of all of the different races. Liz?
I just want to mention that 4 years ago, Eric Adams was invited to speak to our club when we held forums. We held forums for all the candidates that were eligible to participate, and he did not take us up on it. He was the only one.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate that additional context for folks. All right, so just again, I want to check in. Is there anyone who has received their ballot who still needs additional time in order to submit it? It is completely all right if that is the case. We do not want to rush you, but we just want to make sure that if everyone who has received a ballot has received it and has submitted it, we're able to share the results with you at a relatively early hour. So please, either in the chat by raising your hand or just unmuting yourself, let me know if you need any additional time to fill out your ballot. Judith, we got you. No rush at all. Take your time.
I might need like a minute or
Nope,
two.
that is all
got mine.
good. No
Thank you.
rush. No rush whatsoever. Take your time. I appreciate you letting me know. Katie?
How many total votes are we expecting?
That's a great question. I believe we had at maximum around 40 participants in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine the total will be somewhere between 35 and 40 based on, I know we had some wonderful new folks who joined us this evening who may not have joined more than 90 days ago, so therefore weren't eligible to vote in this evening's meeting. So doing a little back of the napkin math, I imagine we'll be pretty close to around 35 voters.
And our membership is at what, like 80? So were we only getting like half showing up for it?
That's a good question. I know it's an interesting.
I'm just curious.
No, of course. Oh, it's an interesting question, and it's a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain of what the executive committee, the work that Leslie, our director of membership and outreach, and our treasurer Barbara, and our Swiss Army knife Stephanie, they do that. There is the large list, as you say. So that's the people who sign up to receive our newsletter. Those are folks who may not have ever joined the club, may not have ever been members, may not have ever lived in New York. They just either liked our logo, they liked the name of the Hell's Kitchen Democrats, they liked the work that we were doing and wanted to keep updated on that. So that mailing list is, I believe, around 1,500 people. Then you get to a smaller list of everyone who has ever at some point been a member. And you know why that's important is because those people could ostensibly pay their dues for a year, come to an event, and then they are once again a fully eligible dues paying member. So I think that list is closer to the hundreds of folks who maybe joined back in 2016, maybe folks who joined in 2020 and fell off, just decided for whatever reason, they moved, they were no longer interested in democratic politics, whatever. And then you have a much smaller list, which is what our volunteers put together this evening, which was the folks who met all 4 of the membership criteria that we laid out, which is having paid their 2025 dues, having previously joined the Hell's Kitchen Democrats more than 90 days before the election took place, who had attended an event or a meeting in the past 365 days, and who do not vote in another geographically based club. And that list is fluctuating. You know, it's why we love having events like we had in January with the election of club officers or the endorsement tonight, is we usually get a lot of people who come back, who maybe hadn't participated for a while and said, you know what, this mayoral election really matters to me. I want to have my voice heard. I want to participate in it. I want to do the endorsement vote for the Hell's Kitchen Democrats. So, you know, events like tonight, the overall number of our dues paying voting eligible members goes up because we have folks who attend a forum, who attend a meeting and pay up on their dues, and they meet the other 2 qualifications and always have. So it's definitely fluctuating, but I believe at last count, it was around 50 people that we had who were fully dues paying members that were paid up, that had attended an event and met the other qualifications. I know our fabulous volunteers are doing some direct individual outreach. For folks who don't know, on the OPA vote system, there's actually a great feature that lets us see who we have sent ballots out to and who we have not received completed ballots from yet. So our fabulous volunteers are doing outreach to individuals who we have sent the ballots to, but whom we have not received the ballots back from, to see if there's any assistance that they possibly need. All right, so now that I've done another good round of yapping,
Sandy
wanna
was
see-
raising her hand.
I was just
Oh,
going to
thank you
add
so
that
much,
I
Adrian.
know,
Please, Sandy.
I know some good members who just couldn't make it tonight, and we don't have proxies, so, and I'm not in favor of proxy voting, but, you know, considering that as well.
Oh, absolutely. No, and you know, you're absolutely right. You know, we very much appreciate the time and the effort that, you know, being a part of any organization takes. You know, you all have families, many have jobs, many have hobbies, many have lives outside of this, and you take time away from all those things to, you know, support a local organization that you believe in. So we're incredibly grateful for that, but we're also incredibly lucky that we have members of this club who are also members of Community Board 4 or the Hudson River Park Trust or a number of other incredible organizations around the community and around the city that have conflicting meeting times. And, you know, it's a balance. And we're so grateful for the folks who, you know, are able to make the time this evening, but also the folks that for whatever reason weren't able to join. And, you know, we hope that we can engage them in other ways that don't necessarily conflict with their schedule. I want to see Judith. I want to check in to see if there was any support that we could offer regarding your ballot. If not, if you just need more time, that's totally okay.
And
But we can also have.
and
I'm
also
fine. Thank you, Sean.
Beverly,
Yep, give me 1 second, Liz. I hear you. 1 second. I'm sorry, Judith, you were saying?
No, I'm fine. In fact, I sent it back.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Judith. No worries. We'll confirm with our team that they've received it. And then,
Sean, can you check in with Beverly, Beverly Bullock? And also, that's Patricia. Patricia's here, Patricia O'Neill. I don't know if she can hear us.
no worries. So Patricia, if you'd like, we're happy to have somebody reach out and provide any assistance directly. If not, if you just need some more time, that's perfectly okay as well. We just want to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to complete and submit your ballot.
And Beverly.
Sure. Patricia, not sure if you can hear us. If not, that's all right. No worries. We just want to check and make sure that we're able to offer. Also wanted to check in with Beverly Bullock. We have some.
Hi, excuse me, I'm so sorry. This is Patricia. I actually
Of
did
course.
vote and submitted it. I'm sorry,
Wonderful.
I can do it again very quickly, but I did it like as soon as I got the email. So if you'll give me just 2 minutes, I will resubmit it.
No worries. Good.
So
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Wait, we have
won't
to
count it.
resubmit?
Nope, you don't. Nope, you don't, Katie. Thank you so much for checking in. I appreciate it. We're just highlighting specific individuals that our volunteers flagged as they had not received the ballot from. That could be
Okay,
a
Nick-
technical issue, but those are
Sean?
specific issues that they are able to track from
Okay.
folks who sent the ballot, that they sent the ballot out to, that we have not received it yet. So
Guys!
we're highlighting specific individuals like Patricia and Beverly. And thankfully, Patricia was able to let us know that she had submitted it, but she's going to submit it again just to be safe. It won't get counted twice, so that's totally fine. But no worries for anyone who we've not specifically said the names of. Sandy?
Could you repeat, Sean, what you said at the very top of the meeting about another meeting after tonight? I wasn't really listening closely and I didn't write it down.
I
You did say
don't
something
blame you
about that.
at all. No one should feel that they should have to listen to all 20,000 words that I've said tonight closely. And, an important note is everything that I've said tonight and all the important information will be shared in upcoming newsletters sent out, so you can get it all in writing there. You don't have to say, what the heck was that guy saying 2 hours in? But what I mentioned, Sandy, was that we are back to our normal meeting schedule starting next March, which is the first Thursday of every month. And I believe that puts us at March 6th as the next general membership meeting. We postponed the February meeting in order to give more time to folks following the candidate forums to review either the videos of the forums or to do research on the candidates. So we delayed February's meeting to tonight, but we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program on Thursday, March 6th. We'll be inviting the candidates that have won our endorsement this evening to come and speak to our members. Kevin?
Hey, Sean, your call. When I left the breakout room, we were down to 4, the 2 bishops, Beverly Bullock and Patricia O'Neill. Do you want to keep waiting or do you want to?
Nope. So I know we'll go and we've got for folks who are, we also have a wonderful text thread with all of our wonderful volunteers who are keeping me updated on on their efforts in the breakout room. So we're working on accomplishing that. Jeffrey, yes, we're trying to get a ballot to you now. We're working on that. We know that that is a known issue.
Thank
We're working on
you.
that. Patricia?
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, I've submitted twice now and it went through completely and I did confirm the submission. So I'm not, am I still coming up as not having voted?
Thank you for letting us know, Patricia. We'll check in with our volunteers on yours specifically and confirm that we've received it. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you flagging that.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Danny?
Yeah, I'm just going to suggest something, although it's not critical. When we announce the nominees, the endorsements, might we want to set the recording on again? So that's.
The recording has started again.
Oh, has it? I didn't see that. Okay. So we're back. Okay.
No, I always appreciate people double checking with me because the only reason the recording started in the first place is my wife shouted at me from the other room, "Hey, idiot, start the recording." Now, are those the exact words she said? Maybe not. She was probably kinder than that. But it's a bit funnier in my mind that that was the way. Okay, so Patricia O'Neill, we have your ballot received. Thank you so much for your work. We appreciate that. Judith, we have your ballot as well. So I believe Jeffrey, can you please confirm for us that you received your ballot? I take it Jeffrey is diligently filling out his ranked choice
I am,
options.
and I'm sorry, I was coming back to the
Nope.
screen. Yes, ballot
All good.
received, and I'm working on it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And I want to give Beverly, I know we've tried to call Beverly a couple of times and haven't gotten through. Beverly, we just wanted to double check if you were able to hear us, if you were able to open your ballot and submit it. All right, well, thank you all for your participation. Once we receive Jeffrey's ballot, we'll go ahead and close things out. Thank you all for your patience this evening. What else? Boy, what a boring time, huh? Just not a lot to fill the day. But again, it's where I'm incredibly grateful for you all. It can feel like so much of what's going on is outside of our control, and that we don't necessarily feel as though we have a real meaningful way to make a difference in so much of the things that are happening around the world and around the country. But this is a way that we can make a difference here in our neighborhood and in our city. So I'm incredibly grateful for you all dedicating your time and energy here this evening. Sandy?
Yes, since we do have some time, could we know from maybe Paul, because I think he was there, anything he has feelings about the city
I'm Sandy,
planning
I'm sorry to
commission?
interrupt you, but it concerns Beverly. She's on the
Of
other.
course.
Oh, okay.
So team, she says she submitted her ballot.
Okay.
Should she
Great.
do it again? She should do it again?
We will absolutely have our volunteers take a look and double check that we had not received Beverly's ballot. And if we hadn't, it's possible that there was a technical issue, and we would be incredibly grateful for Beverly to do it again. So give our volunteers one moment and we'll let Beverly know.
Did she confirm it?
That's a great question, Ruby. We'll double check that as well. That's a really good flag. And I should have mentioned that at the top, that after you click vote, there is an option to, there is the opportunity to review your ballot and then confirm submitting it. So it's entirely possible that that's maybe what we're missing out on. But we thank you, Liz, for connecting with Beverly, and we want to make sure her vote gets counted. So thank you so much.
Looks like they got it. They got it.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
All right.
They got it.
Got it, Liz? Got it? Great.
Yes.
Thank you
got it.
so much, Beverly, and thank you, Liz, for your
you.
help. We really appreciate it. So we'll
Thanks,
hear from
Liz.
Sandy, and then we'll
Bye.
hear from Alita, and then we'll hear from Diego. And hopefully, once we've heard from Sandy, Alita, and Diego, our fabulous group of volunteers will be able to join us back in the main room and announce the results of the endorsement election this evening. Sandy?
I was just curious to hear if Paul had some kind of report about the city planning commission on related changing the zoning for Hudson Yards.
Thank you, Sandy. And I'll just add again context for folks who may not be aware. The Hudson Yards, the area, I'm sure you all know that, the area that has been very much developed in the past number of years. The area north that has not yet been developed is under an agreement that was signed with Mayor Bloomberg and Speaker Chris Quinn at the time, with a number of requirements for how that area would be developed. And there are now related, the developer who is developing that area has a desire to change some of those agreements. Paul alluded to this during his discussion of the nominees. As a member of the community board weighs in on land use items like development of undeveloped spaces. So Paul, by all means, if you don't have information, that's all right. But as Sandy correctly noted,
Well, I'm
you
littered
usually
with
do.
information.
Yeah.
Littered with information. Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate it. Yeah, so the community board voted to deny the zoning text amendment changes We worked with Mark Levine, and Mark also then came out with a full denial. The next step in the process is it goes to the City Planning Commission. They have 30 days to review. There was a public hearing yesterday. It went on for 5 hours. There were 68 speakers. 34 actually spoke in favor and 32 spoke against. So there were more people speaking in favor. But notably to me was that the people speaking in favor were entities like labor unions, nonprofits, and things like that, that were slated to receive the funding if the casino goes forward. As I point out, the casino isn't guaranteed to get that license, so none of that money is guaranteed. The CPC, the Planning Commission, will be looking at the technicalities of the application itself, which is on site plan revisions and the street remapping. And so they just look at those two things. They will come out with their opinion within 30 days, and then it goes into the city council. It'll run through the city council process. And Eric, as our member representing that district, will have a lot to say on that. I know Carl's in the room, and I will say this, and I think I'm not disclosing anything, but CB4 had a meeting with Eric to talk about it, to talk about our position. And we lobbied pretty hard, and Eric is just being respectful of the process. And until it gets into his court, so to speak, until it's in his hands, he's just weighing all the opinions that people are hearing up until before that. So CPC, I had no indication at the meeting of what they would do. My guess is they're going to do a deny with conditions, because they were talking about the alternative plans a lot, but I have no read.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. Alita and then Diego.
I was just going to remind everybody to make sure they're following us on social media. We're posting a lot about the different protests that are happening, not just physical marches, but boycotts that the people in the country are doing collectively. So it can at least feel like, you know, as you mentioned, it doesn't feel like we can do anything. Sometimes we can actually do something, and hitting them in their wallet might be one of the best things we can do. For example, in March, there's a no buying from Amazon for 1 week, March 7th to the 14th. There's February 28th, economic blackout protest, no spending for 24 hours, including buying gas. There's a national strike, no work for 24 hours. So all workers, all businesses, all higher education organizations, we're not showing up. So if you want to participate in any of those, we posted them on our Instagram, and something to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alita. That you're absolutely right. You all do a wonderful job of posting really important and great pertinent information on social media. So please, HK Dems on all your social media platforms. We'll hear from Diego, and then we'll turn it over to Kevin, who I believe should have the results of this evening's endorsement election. Diego?
You know, I think I had my hand raised by accident.
No worries.
Because
Happens to the best of us.
yeah, I think that I had like the double vote thing, but then I figured it out. So
Oh, no worries.
yeah,
We would
Okay.
always rather hear from you and not need to than the opposite. So no worries. All right. Kevin, do you want to share with us the results of this evening's election?
I think so. But before we do that, I'd like to just thank, can we give a little thank, virtual or otherwise, to Sean for running a very productive and effective meeting?
Well, that's all well and good. I just yapped, as I said. I want to highlight you. You're absolutely right, Kevin. And just because we're keeping you all around, I want to highlight Kevin Collins, Rob Madsen, Stephanie Jones, Barbara Connect, and Leslie Murphy, all of whom were absolutely invaluable to this going as smoothly as it did. So thank you all for all of your work behind the scenes in helping resolve issues. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. And so the moment that we've been all waiting for, members of the Academy, the results are in. Here now to accept it. But in all seriousness, thank you for those of you who have put in the time, who attended the forums, and those of you who attended in person. Being there in person makes a difference because people see who's from HK Dems as opposed from other clubs. Or if you watch it on Zoom, thanks for taking the time to read through the candidate questionnaires. give it consideration. And thanks for your comments and the discussion here tonight. I thought it was very helpful. So here are the results. And then please remember Saturday, March 1st, we have to kick off a petitioning and we'll go from there. So for the office of mayor, Brad Lander. For the office of public advocate, Jennifer Rajkumar. For Comptroller, Mark Levine. For Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. For Manhattan Borough President, Brad Hoyman Siegel. For City Council District 3, Eric Botcher. For City Council District 6, Gail Brewer. For Municipal Court District 9, Terrence McCormick. For District Leader, Assembly District 75, the 2 seats, Paul Devlin and Adrian Ford. And last but not least, for State Committee Member, Assembly District 75, Marty Gold Cummings.
Thank
Those are
you
the
so
results.
much, Kevin.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
just as
everybody.
a reminder, everyone who submitted a ballot and received a ballot should receive an additional email from OpaVote breaking down those results. And we'll also be sharing the candidate who received the most first place votes, the one candidate, in a newsletter coming out. And those candidates will be included on the petitions that we'll be doing. Kevin, you talked about it briefly, but do you want to talk a little bit more about March 1st, Saturday, March 1st, the petitioning kickoff event that we will be hosting?
Sure. Thanks, Sean. As was discussed tonight, bouncing off of from these endorsements, we're going to put these list of candidates' names on a petition and then endeavor to get as many petition signatures we can. So the first day to jump that off will be on Saturday, March 1st. Please keep an eye out for your emails. There'll be an email coming from HK Dems with the location and the time. We'll have a little training there, a little gathering. There may be some elected folks there, and then we'll go out and start petitioning. Now, I don't know if there's anything that Paul or Liz or Sean want to add to that.
No, and just a reminder, petitioning is the work that we'll be doing on behalf of our endorsed candidates to make sure that they qualify to be on the ballot for the primary in June. This has been an incredible meeting. Thank you all. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I tried understanding the incredible investment of time and energy that you all give to us. I don't want to run too much over 2 hours. Is there anything else that folks would like to make an announcement about? Of course, Ruby.
This is about petitioning. I know that some of us are going to be a little disappointed by how it went this evening, but you need to realize it is important for us as an organization and as a club to get petitions signed, whether people you like are on it or not. It's really important. And I will be there like my usual self. Please join us.
Absolutely, Ruby. And that's a really great and important point about petitioning. Petitioning is not voting for a candidate. You will ultimately get a chance in June to rank the candidates that you support, whether they are the candidates that the club endorsed or not. Petitioning is a way that we demonstrate our solidarity and power as a club, and it's why candidates value our opinion and our thoughts on things so highly, because of how effective we are in the petitioning process. So that's a really great point, Kevin. And if you haven't already seen it, in all of our newsletters, there's information about volunteering for petitioning. I will put my cell phone number in the chat. If at any point you have questions or interested in volunteering, you can text or call me. You can email the HKDems at NYC or HKDemsNYC@gmail email address. We will meet you where you are. Volunteering, petitioning, it does not have to be spending 8 hours out in the cold, though that is what Ruby will do because Ruby is a petitioning machine. We will find ways to accommodate whatever your availability is to get you involved in our efforts. Paul Devlin?
Yeah, while we're talking about petitioning, I want to do a plug for county committee. So every election district in Assembly District 75 Part B we can fill with county committee seats. We have 110 seats to fill. The way to get onto county committee is to take the petition, have your name on it, circulate and gather petition signatures within your home election district, and we can elect you to county committee. And that's part of the petitioning process. So if anyone is interested in serving on county committee, please reach out to me and we'll organize to get you onto your home ED petitions. If anybody has any questions about county committee, let me know.
And you can always reach out to me, always reach out to the HK Dems NYC Gmail, and we will connect you with Paul. For folks who aren't aware, county committee, in case of unexpected vacancies in offices, the county committee meets and determines who the Democratic nominee for that office would be. That is how, and folks can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's how Jerry Nadler initially became our congressman, however many years ago, is the county committee at the time voted for him to be the Democratic nominee for that open congressional seat. So county committee is a very important role, but again, you don't need to know, you don't need to be an expert, we will help you. If you are just interested in volunteering, let us know, and we will accommodate you however, whatever your knowledge or experience level is, we will meet you where you are and make sure you feel comfortable and confident in doing so.
And more than likely, I'm sorry, John.
That's all right, please, Ruby.
And more than likely, we will probably be doing that for the Senate seat.
Absolutely. That is entirely possible. Thank you, Ruby. Katie?
When you email the results later, will you give us the full ranked choice?
Yes,
Results?
the OPA vote results that go out to everyone who received a ballot, it will break down every stage of ranked choice voting. So it will show what the first ballot was in some of the races. That will be the only ballot that's reflected because one candidate will have received more than 50% of the first choice votes. For other races in which one candidate does not get more than 50% of the first place votes on the first ballot, it will break down round by round which candidate was in last place who had the least votes, that candidate that was then eliminated, and where that candidate's second place votes were then allocated. Stephanie?
Yes, when you receive these results, for the male district leader position, your results will read that Paul Devlin and no endorsement are the winners. And that was an error on your volunteers' part because I set it up so that 2 winners would be elected in that race, but Paul Devlin is our endorsed male district leader.
Thank you, Stephanie. And it is an important note, like we do our best, our volunteers try our best. But as I can tell you, Stephanie Jones was actually offered a new job today. So she might have been a little bit distracted by the very exciting job opportunity that she got and accidentally pressed the wrong button on that. So thank you for your transparency, Stephanie. We appreciate that. All right. We are over the 2-hour mark. I don't want to rush folks if anyone has anything else they'd like to add, but I know that a shower and my bed are calling me.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Sean.
Second.
Congratulations on another all-white
Third.
male slate.
Thank you all very much.
That's not an all-white
and
male
I will
slate.
accept.
I'm
I will
sorry,
accept the
can I-
motion.
Raj Kumar is
Nope,
not
that's
a
good.
white
Thank
Wait,
you so much.
before we adjourn, sorry, just speaking as a woman of color, Katie, I'm glad you said that because you had an opportunity to endorse the candidate you're working for who's a woman of color, and you elected instead to criticize the members of this body who would campaign for her for free. And many people in this meeting actually did endorse Jessica Ramos, but not you. And for somebody who's working very closely to her campaign, you had a unique position to be able to help her instead of simply to virtue signal and criticize the very body who is apt to help her.
Here's what I'm going to do.
think
I
that's a
appreciate that.
problem.
I'm going to formally adjourn the meeting. I will not close out this meeting if folks want to continue to be a part of this conversation, but I do want to allow the folks who were here for the endorsement meeting and do not want to further engage The meeting is now formally adjourned. Thank you all for your time and attention.
Thank you,
We
Sean.
appreciate your energy this evening. Thank you to our volunteers.
Thank
Again,
you.
I will leave the meeting open in case folks wish to continue to have a conversation. Thank you all so much.
You might want to stop recording.